Hello everybody, dear students. Hope you are in a good shape and ready for a new lesson from Unit 3, Education. Today, inshallah, we're going to work on grammar and exactly on the past perfect. But before that, let me just refresh your minds about what we saw in the last lesson, because this is our third lesson today. So, the last time we worked, if you still remember, lesson number 1 on vocabulary concerning Unit 3 in general, education, collocations, and so on. Second lesson was about functions, communication, how to express the purpose. Remember? Objective, the goal, so as to, in order to, all right? And today, our lesson is going to be on grammar and more specifically on past perfect, as I said. Before I give you ampler information on the tense, I'll let you discover yourself what we mean, how do we use, and the form of the past perfect. We'll start with 2 prepositions we are going to need for the coming lesson. It's very important for you to make the difference between before and after. I know some of you are familiar with the 2 prepositions, but still, let me make sure you have no confusion concerning this. We'll take the example quickly here. We have 3 days: Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If we look at Monday and Tuesday, Monday comes after or before Tuesday. What do you think? Of course, Monday comes before. Before Tuesday. Before Tuesday. We have first Monday, then we have Tuesday. Now if we compare Tuesday to Wednesday, what are we going to say? Wednesday comes, yes, after. Comes after Tuesday, which means then, second one. All right, so this is very important for us to make things clearer in the coming steps of the lesson. Hope you have taken notes and this is clear for you. All right? Shall we move on? Okay. Now, we are going to discover the tense from the paragraph you have here. You read the paragraph and you are going to answer the question here. Let's start with the question first. Find in the text what shows that Karim's host family are welcoming. Let me just explain host family. For example, when I come to see you at your place, in your house, to visit you, I am your guest. I'm your guest. And you are my host. All right? When you receive your friend is your visitor, your guest, and you receive him. You are the owner of the place, the house, you are the host. So Karim visited a family, an English family, in his last holidays, and he stayed with this family. The family were very generous and very kind to Karim. I would like you to have a look at the paragraph and tell me what shows that these people were very generous, were happy to receive Karim. So have a look at the text. Before I went to England last August, I had always thought that I would never adjust to the new culture. To make me feel at home, my host family had decorated my room 2 days before I arrived on Monday, 24th. On my first evening, they said they had invited some neighbors for dinner to to celebrate my arrival. After the neighbors had arrived at about 8 p.m., dinner was served at 10 o'clock. And we had a very pleasant evening, although I discovered that the English I had learned in Morocco was not enough to understand native speakers. Native speakers? People who speak English as their first language. English people, Americans, Australians, and so on. So can you pick up in the text a proof, sentence or two? In fact, you have two sentences that show that the family was happy to receive Karim. Got it? So let's see the first example that shows this. They redecorated his room. They prepared the room for him before he comes. Second thing, they celebrated his arrival. Can you tell me how did they celebrate? Can you find it in the text? How did they celebrate? Yeah? How did they celebrate his arrival to show they are happy to receive him? They have invited someone, yes. Who? The neighbors. And they had dinner together. Very good. All right. Let's proceed to the next step. We are going to stay with the paragraph, still the same paragraph, but this time you are going to pick up the two tenses that are used in the paragraph. If you have realized, the paragraph is built up with only two tenses. Both belong to the past. Can you recognize them? I give you a few seconds. Which are two tenses that dominate in the text? Got them? Yes, the first one, I think you have realized the ed form. It is the simple past. Right, good. You have another tense. It's composed of two elements. Did you get it? It is the past perfect. So here you have examples of the simple past. For example, we have went, we have arrived, then we have said, was there, had, yes, and next one, yes, it is discovered. Now the second tense you have is past perfect. Can you pick up examples? You can see them in the different color. Yes, of course, we have example, had thought. Yes, second one, had decorated, had invited. The last one, had learned. I guess you have seen the difference between the two. For the simple past, it is simple. It's not compound. You know compound? Past perfect is compound, which means it is made of two elements. We will see this in more details in the coming steps of the lesson. Okay? So now, you have to complete a timeline from the examples you have here. I have picked up this example from the text, which contains the two tenses, the simple past here in the verb arrived, and you have had decorated. I have picked it up from the paragraph we saw before, and I would like you to use this sentence or example to complete a timeline. You know what's a timeline? All right? Are you familiar? Well, I will show you what's a timeline. This is a timeline here. This is a timeline. It's a line that represents the time. If you can see here, it's now, the present. Okay? Then, of course, here are going to have what? Of course, the future. Before the present, so this is all, of course it is the past. Good, yes. Past, present, and future. We're not concerned about the future. We're concerned about the past, right? Now, in the sentence here, we have two dates. The first one, as you can see, Monday, 24th. These are marks to show the days and the dates in the past. We are here. And suppose this is Monday, 24th. Okay? Then we have an action here. In this date, we have an action. We have a verb. Something is done at this date. You know what? Of course, the verb arrived. It happened at this date in the past, exactly. Then we have 2 days before that. 2 days before. 1, 2. Before 24, before 2 days. It means the 23rd and the 22nd. So something happened 2 days before, on the 22nd. What is it? It's this action. Had decorated. This is very important for us to put actions in the right place for the coming steps, right? We are going to have another activity where we are going to use this information. So let's make it clear here. We are here. We have two actions in the past at different times. All right? Got it? Shall we move on? Okay. Now look at the next step. I kept the timeline here. It's the same timeline we saw with the present, the 24th, 22nd, the past. Now, can you use the timeline we saw, which is represented here, and complete this table? Let me explain the content. We have verbs, actions. There are two actions: arrived, had decorated. You are going to give me the missing information, which is the order in time and the tense. Order in time, I mean that you have to tell me which action is first, which is second, which happened first, which happened second. Look at the timeline. We are here and two actions. So which happened the first? Is it arrived first, then decorated? Or it was decorated, then Karim arrived? Of course, the family first decorated before, on the 22nd, on Saturday. Then Karim arrived on Monday. So arrived, for order of time, 1 or 2. Of course, it's number 2. Now what is the tense we use for this? You have the ed form. Second action, we use the simple past. And of course, had decorated is action number 1. The tense, I think you guessed about the tense, of course. It is the past perfect. Okay? Are you with me? All right. Now, look at the examples here. I have here for you definitions when we use the past perfect. Tell me which ones are correct, true, which are false. Here you have to go back to the timeline. You remember the first, second simple past, first past perfect. So look at this first sentence. We use the past perfect for two actions that happen at the same time in the past. The same time. At one time, we have two actions in the past. What do you think? Is this right or wrong? I think you got it. It is not right. That's wrong. They are not at the same time. Remember, 22nd and 24th. We use the past perfect for a long action that is finished in the past. One action, long, finished in the past. True or false? Of course, it doesn't work. It's false. And of course, this is the use, the correct use of the past perfect. We use when we have two actions that are finished in the past, decorated, arrived. Both actions are finished, but one is completed before the second one. So on the first one, which is completed before past perfect, and the second one, we use the simple past. That's right. Here, we use the past perfect when two actions happen in the past. Two actions. One before the other. The action that happens first, which we said number one, past perfect. Second action, which is nearer to the present, in the simple past. Got it? All right. Now this is the form, how we use it. So the form is that subject plus auxiliary plus past participle, or we have in the question auxiliary had plus subject plus past participle. Here are the example. You have they is the subject. Auxiliary had. By the way, the auxiliary does not change. You always have had. What changes is the past participle. It depends on the verb. Of course, if you have regular verbs, then the past participle is the ed form. Had invited, had played, had organized, had decorated, regular verbs. But when the verb is irregular here, you have to work on the specific form of each verb. Now, if we have the question, you have the students for the negative form, had not. When we use the negative form, it's just plus not. Nothing changes. Done, the homework, you see here, done is irregular. You have to pay attention to the form. In the interrogative form, we start with the auxiliary, which is had. Had you finished? Had they studied? Had she arrived? Had plus subject, students, plus past participle, the homework. Here you have examples that illustrate the three forms. Before the pandemic broke out, the Ministry of Education had prepared broadcast lessons. When we got to the cinema, we got simple past, the film had started before. Subject plus auxiliary plus past participle. Question, interrogative, we start with the auxiliary. Had you been abroad before last summer? Okay? Have you taken notes of this? All right. We'll proceed to the next step of the lesson. Now, can you spot the mistakes of the sentences we have here? Look at the first sentence. Spot. Can you find the mistake? There's a mistake in the sentence. Have a look. Tell me where. Where is the problem? You have the student didn't tell his teacher he has been absent the day before. Sorry, here is the day. You put a T there, all right? The day before. So a few seconds, can you find what doesn't work in the sentence? Okay? Where is the problem? You got it? The problem, okay, here for the other sentence, let's start with the first one. The problem is for not has been, but had been. You remember we said that auxiliary is had, does not change, right? In whatever the verb, whatever the form of the sentence, had is always there. What changes is the past participle. I had never went abroad before that summer. Problem with went, past participle gone. I had been a good student. Problem is with been. I had been a good student. All right. Here you have to complete the sentences to make a correct meaning, an appropriate meaning. So, start with the one, the children had already gone to bed. Can you find the appropriate part of the sentence that goes there? I'll give you a few seconds. The children had already gone to bed. Is it when I had never served? No. The train had left? No. Got it? Yes, of course. When the children, their mother arrived. When she arrived, they had already gone. My wife didn't watch the film with me. Why? The thief? No. Of course, because she had already seen it before. It was my first time. I had never served before. When I arrived at the station, the train had left. By the time we got home, we realized, of course, that the thief had broken good. All right, I think you got them right. Okay, let's move on to the second now. You complete the sentences from the pictures you have. So here you have, when we got home, when we got to the airport, the object? Huh? The plane. Yes, the plane. Give me the verb. You can have fly, go, leave. So the sentence. The plane had taken off, had flown, had left. It was my first time. The verb. It's to ride. I had never ridden. Ridden is the past participle of ride. Go to Mecca. Question. Can you get the sentence? Yes. Had you? Yes. Had you ever gone to Mecca? Good. That's right. Okay, now you remember we started with a paragraph. Now you have to come up with the right paragraph now and try to practice what we have seen all through the lesson. Your task is that you have to give the correct form of the verbs between brackets. All right? Use the past perfect or simple past only. Few seconds. Last week, I decide. Which tense do you think? Past or past perfect? Simple past. Of course, it is the simple past, decided. With my friends to visit an aquatic park which opened few months before. Open. Of course, past perfect. It means had plus opened. It's a regular verb. Second one, not be. It was not. As successful as we. Of course, before. Past perfect. Had hoped. That's right. We have an accident because the taxi driver not respect. Have. Simple past. You're right. We had an accident. Why? Because the taxi driver before not respect. So it's past perfect negative. Got it? Yes. Had not respected the traffic light. So we, hitchhike. Yes, simple past. We hitchhiked. Why? Since all the taxis already had what? Past participle? Had left. Good. Had left. By the time we arrive, simple past, and already closed, regular verbs, it's going to be had, closed. Very good. I hope things have been clear for you. We have come to an end for the lesson. I have to tell you goodbye. Before that, let me just remind you of our next coming lesson if you want to get prepared. All right? So We have finished with grammar, the past perfect, and inshallah we will meet next time with a new lesson about the two skills, reading, listening in just one. For now, goodbye and stay safe and focused. Thank you.